Welcome back, everyone, to another deep dive. Today, we're continuing our exploration of maternal mental health. This is the third in a series created by Fundamental Foundations Counseling.
Yep.
And today, we're zeroing in on two really practical areas.
Right.
Creating a safe space at home and practicing mindful parenting.
Okay.
Our aim today is to really pull out those sort of down-to-earth strategies that can bring a bit more calm and presence into those early parenting years.
Yeah.
So we're going beyond, just getting through the day and aiming for those moments of genuine connection and peace.
Yeah. You know what I found really compelling about the material from Fundamental Foundations Counseling is that they really focus on giving moms tangible action steps that they can take.
Oh, okay.
They go beyond simply saying, hey, this is challenging.
Right.
They really focus on, okay, what are some very concrete things that you can do to start integrating well-being into your everyday life as a parent?
Right. And I love that it's about, building blocks.
For a more grounded experience.
Yeah.
So let's dive right in.
Yeah.
I want to start with this idea of a calming corner. Now, when you hear calming corner, you might be picturing, a huge room makeover or something elaborate.
Right.
But it's really not about that.
No, it's not.
The sources we're looking at highlight the real core idea here is about establishing a designated haven, right, within your home, a spot you can intentionally go to.
Yes.
When you feel that anxiety bubbling up.
Totally.
Or just need a breather from the beautiful chaos that
Yes.
parenting often brings.
Absolutely.
And the magic really lies in it feeling genuinely safe and comforting to you.
Yes. And I think that's the key. It has to feel safe and comfortable for you.
Right.
And it's easy to get caught up in thinking, oh, I need to create this elaborate setup.
Right.
But the power of it is that personal resonance.
Yes.
It's like a physical anchor that signals to your mind and body that it's time to kind of downshift and find a moment of stillness. I love that. And speaking of that physical space, I think one of the things that's so reassuring about the source material is its flexibility
Yes.
around this. You don't need a spare room.
Yeah.
This could be a quiet nook in your bedroom, your favorite armchair,
Exactly.
a little corner on the porch or balcony that doesn't get too much foot traffic.
Right. As long as it's a little bit separate from the hustle and bustle.
Right. That element of separation is so key.
It is. Even if it's just, a few feet away from where the activity's happening.
Yes.
It makes a huge psychological difference.
Yeah.
When you're feeling overwhelmed, it's almost like creating this boundary
Right.
for yourself
Yeah. Right.
that says, okay, this is my space to just retreat and regroup.
So we found the space. How do we really make it this comforting haven?
Yeah.
Well, the resources emphasize comfort items. I think soft textures that feel good to the touch. Blankets.
Yeah.
Cozy throat, supportive cushions and pillows.
Yes.
And this is interesting. They specifically mentioned weighted blankets
Oh, yeah.
as being potentially really helpful for that soothing effect. Have you seen that be particularly helpful?
I have.
Yeah.
There's actually quite a bit of really compelling research on the benefits of weighted blankets.
Okay.
And that gentle distributed pressure that they provide can actually have a direct calming effect on the nervous system.
Oh, wow.
It can help to lower your heart rate, promote the release of certain neurochemicals that are associated with relaxation.
Wow.
It's almost like this comforting embrace.
Interesting.
And so, it's really fascinating how that simple physical input can have such a noticeable impact on our emotional state.
It really is. And it's not just what you feel physically, but it's engaging all your senses.
Yes.
The material highlighted the use of scented candles or calming essential oils. They specifically mentioned lavender and chamomile,
Yes.
which are known for their relaxing properties,
Yeah.
a diffuser to gently fill the space, and then even softer lighting options like a salt lamp with a warm glow or some gentle fairy lights.
Absolutely. And, it makes sense because our senses are such direct pathways to our emotional centers.
Right.
And so certain scents, they can evoke those positive memories, those feelings of calm,
Yeah.
and softer, warmer light naturally kind of signals the body to relax.
I love that. It's about really crafting that atmosphere
Yes.
that supports a sense of peace.
Exactly. It's intentional design
Yes.
to work in tandem with your own efforts to find calm.
And then to really make this corner your own, it's about adding those personal touches
Yeah.
that bring you a sense of peace and joy.
Right.
The resources suggest framed photos
Oh, yeah.
of happy memories,
Love it.
favorite quotes that offer encouragement,
Yeah.
or even a small plant to bring that touch of nature indoors.
Absolutely. And I think, those personal elements are really important
Yes.
because they reinforce that purpose of the space on a very individual level.
Right.
These constant gentle reminders of why you've created this sanctuary and what it represents for you.
Yeah.
A place of comfort and safety rejuvenation.
And beyond just the feel of the space, they also listed some very practical calming tools, like tangible things to have within reach
Yeah.
for when you need them most.
Right.
So they talked about a journal and a pen to get your thoughts out, a coloring book and some colored pencils,
Yeah.
maybe even a little fidget toy to keep those hands busy,
Oh, yeah.
a curated playlist of calming music or nature sounds.
Right.
And of course, you've always got those meditations and guided breathing apps on your phone.
Yeah. What I really appreciate about these suggestions is that they're all really low barrier to entry.
Yeah.
They're not expensive. They're not complicated.
It's everyday things.
They're everyday items that you can intentionally use
Yes.
to support your well-being.
And so you've created this calming corner. How do you actually make it a useful part of your routine?
Right.
The resources emphasize the importance of spending time there, even when you're feeling relatively calm.
Yes.
So it's about building that positive association.
Absolutely.
So that when the anxiety does spike or those intrusive thoughts creep in, your natural inclination is to go to this comforting space.
Right. And crucially, giving yourself permission to do that.
Right.
Especially as a new parent.
Yes.
You're so conditioned to put everybody else's needs first.
Yeah.
But recognizing that taking even just a few minutes in your calming corner
Yes.
is an act of self-care.
Right.
Not selfishness.
Not at all.
Can be a real game changer.
Absolutely. So let's shift gears a little bit
Okay.
and talk about the second key area that Fundamental Foundations Counseling really highlighted,
Yeah.
which is activating mindful parenting practices.
Okay.
Now, the resources really acknowledge the challenge of staying present and engaged
Yes.
when you're also navigating the stresses and potential flashbacks of the postpartum period.
Right.
And they introduce this idea of mindful parenting as a really powerful way to reconnect with your child in the here and now while also grounding yourself.
It's such a beautiful intersection.
Yes.
Between, self-care and also nurturing your child. And mindful parenting is not just about, the benefits for the child.
Right.
Which are significant, but it's also a really powerful tool for the parent's own mental well-being.
Yes.
Because by intentionally focusing on that present interaction, you're creating this buffer from all those overwhelming thoughts or anxieties about, the past or the future.
Totally. And the material gives some really good examples of how to actually put this into practice.
Yeah.
For parents of older children, they talk about the value of sensory play.
Yeah.
Things like engaging in tactile activities with sand or water or soft clay, and really focusing on the texture, the temperature, the way the material moves and feels.
And it's so effective because these kinds of activities really draw your attention to the immediate sensory experience.
Right. Yeah.
So it becomes, this shared exploration that pulls both the parent and the child into the present moment.
Together.
Yeah, reducing mental clutter.
Right.
And, fostering a deeper sense of connection.
I love that. And then there's the power of gentle affirmations.
Yes.
The resources explain how intentionally choosing kind words for yourself and directing compassionate phrases toward your child can really ease tension.
Yeah, it's like these little anchors in the moment, both for yourself and for your child,
Right.
that help to cultivate a more supportive and forgiving inner and outer dialogue. And that can have, a significant impact on reducing stress and fostering calm and understanding.
And they even provided some specific examples.
Oh, yeah.
Like, we're doing our best today.
That one.
Or it's okay to slow down.
Yeah.
And it seems so simple, but these phrases, according to the material, can really reinforce a more positive internal dialogue.
Right.
And chip away at that self-criticism.
And that ties in so beautifully.
Yes.
With the importance of slowing down.
Right. We live in such a fast-paced world.
We do.
And we often find ourselves rushing through even the most precious moments.
Right.
The resources encourage us to really actively seek out
Yeah.
and embrace those quieter moments
Yeah.
that might otherwise get overlooked. And they give examples like simply holding a baby close
Oh, yeah.
and consciously breathing together,
Love that.
or just sitting and gently stroking an older child's hair.
Right.
And how that deliberate slowing down can help to regulate your own nervous system.
Absolutely.
And simultaneously build that deeper sense of connection and intimacy with your child.
Yeah.
It's about finding that beauty and grounding in stillness.
That intentionality
Yes.
is really key.
And the last piece of the mindful parenting section that I found so vital is this piece about seeking and accepting support.
Oh, so important.
And the material really directly speaks to the listener.
Yeah.
And says, you don't have to navigate this alone.
Mm-hmm.
It encourages reaching out to a partner, a friend, or a family member
Right.
when you're feeling overwhelmed.
And recognizing your own limits and proactively reaching out for support is a sign of such self-awareness.
Right.
You know, and it's a positive step towards actually managing your own well-being.
Yes.
And it takes courage to ask for help.
It really does.
And I think it's so important to remember that you absolutely deserve that support.
So as we start to kind of bring these ideas together,
Yeah.
the resources we've been looking at acknowledge that experiencing postpartum challenges can make even the most ordinary daily tasks feel so overwhelming.
Yeah.
But they consistently highlighted how creating that calming space for yourself and engaging in those mindful parenting practices can be incredibly valuable tools in reclaiming that inner peace and connection.
And what I find really encouraging is that those two areas really support and enhance each other.
Right.
You know, having that designated calming space can give you the resources you need
Yeah.
to then engage more mindfully with your child.
Right.
And then those mindful moments can reinforce, you know, greater calm and well-being.
Exactly. It's like this beautiful cycle.
It is. It's a beautiful cycle.
And the material really emphasizes starting small, just a few mindful moments.
Yeah.
A brief retreat to your calming corner each day.
Right.
And building from there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's what makes these strategies feel less daunting
Right.
and much more achievable
Yes.
in the context of, you know, a busy and demanding life.
Right. It's about making progress, not aiming for perfection.
Right. Sustainable habits.
Yeah. And importantly, Fundamental Foundations Counseling reminds the listener that professional support is available if you find yourself struggling.
It is okay to ask for help.
Yes.
You know, and knowing that there are others out there who understand what you're going through.
Yes.
And that there are evidence-based, you know, therapeutic approaches available that can give you hope and validation and a sense of direction.
They really directly state in the material, you are not alone in this, and there is always hope for healing and recovery.
And they end on such a beautiful note of self-compassion.
Yes.
You know, acknowledging the real difficulty of the journey, but also recognizing your own strength and your capacity for growth.
And worthiness of care.
Yes.
It's such an important message.
It is.
We truly hope that this deep dive into creating a safe space and intentionally practicing mindful parenting has provided you with some immediately useful ideas that you can start to integrate into your daily life.
And remember, you know, even those small, consistent efforts can make a really significant difference.
Yes. So as we wrap up, consider this. What is one small, manageable step that you could take today toward creating a little calming corner for yourself, or incorporating just one mindful moment into your interactions with your child?
That's a great question to reflect on.
Exploring that one small action might be a really valuable next step on your ongoing journey.